Just standing tall at the top of your mat, set an intention for your practice, an intention for your life, an intention for the day or the next day to be. And see if you can feel it in your heart. Take it from the head to the heart. Healthy, I am happy, I am free. I am healthy, I am happy, I am free. I am healthy, I am happy, I am free. Drop your arms down beside you. Start finding your Tadasana, mountain pose. Okay. Start at the bottom. Work foundation first. So grounding into the feet, spreading the toes, anchoring the four corners of the feet. Starting to lightly draw up the inner arches. Your little bandhas there. Okay. Push the calves forward, push the thighs back. There should be some work counteracting each other. You start to lift the front of your pelvis slightly. If you're the front of your pelvis, this takes some knowledge, so don't just do this haphazardly. Know where your hips usually rise or sit. And if they usually sit about in the right place, don't move them up more. But if it's typically tilted forward, then this is a great cue, a great activation to practice. But all this requires previous knowledge, previous awareness. Who are you? How do you really normally stand? What does your posture look like? Have you ever looked at yourself posturally in a mirror? Or taken a picture and observed your patterns? Those are all great tools to being happy, to being healthy, and definitely to being free. All right, start it again. Feet anchored, suctioned to the floor, calves forward, thighs back. They're creating a counterbalance against each other. Your knees should feel a little freedom there. Okay. Lengthen the sit bones. Pull the front of the hip points up if appropriate. Draw the low belly in, 2 to 3 finger widths below your belly button. That space, focus on it. If you have to, do what I'm doing. Now put a hand right there. Will that space to energetically activate, draw in. Pelvic floor lifts will help this. So Mula Bandha will help draw this space in. See if you can activate both those spaces. Now working the Uddiyana Bandha, start to work this space right below your navel up. Around your center channel, the center channel of the spine. We're holding the whole waist engaged. So it's not just the front you're pulling in, you're drawing in the sides, you're activating the back. Think of the whole thing like a cylinder. Okay, check back in. Feet, calves forward, thighs back, pelvis adjusted. Mula Bandha, that's your pelvic floor. Uddiyana Bandha. And then start to broaden your collarbones. I like to turn my palms forward for this one. If anything stopped working for you to go on to the next thing, it's not time for you to go on to the next thing. So if you are not paying attention, what generally tends to happen is we stop activating where we were previously asking to activate. So this becomes a very active mental practice, just to be aware, just to pay attention, to focus inward, to focus on a simple task of standing, something you do all day long. Collarbones are broadening, and then the very center of the collarbones, right where they meet, try to pull that space straight up. Okay, don't let the legs stop working, so feet, calves, thighs, pelvis, bandhas, collarbones, sternum lifts. Okay, now, very top of the head, lift that straight up. And as you do, let the back of the head lengthen and let the chin just slightly draw back. That's going to help. Pulling the chin slightly back is going to help you be able to lengthen the back of the neck. And I'm not trying to drop my chin to my chest, nor am I trying to lift my chin to the sky. I want more of a level chin, slightly back, head up. Okay, spread your fingers. See if you can feel the centers of your palms. Can you feel those spaces activate? The centers of your palm. Hasta Bandha, right there. Okay? Now do you still have Pada Bandha? Feet down, activated. Good. Calves forward, thighs back. This counter action should make the glutes work, make the legs work. This is very active. We should be getting quite fired up. Bandhas, Mula Bandha, your pelvic floor lift. So that would be the start urine. So if you're not sure what Mula Bandha is, next time you're going pee, stop your stream mid-pee. Learn that activation. Now Mula Bandha is slightly different than that, but if you train that, you'll find Mula Bandha much easier. So I find it a valuable starting point. All right, now with all of this activated, everything you're working right now, what's your breathing like? Are you kind of finding little holds in your breath unintentionally? Shallow breath, and that's okay. I just want you to notice it. Okay, and then taking all the activation and dialing it back, I don't know, 30%. How about that? Okay, now this is where advanced practice really starts to show up, because as we relax 30%, what can tend to happen is things stop working. Oh, my feet are no longer gripping the floor. My legs aren't opposing each other anymore. I'm not creating lift through my center. I'm not engaging my core. So if that's happening, you went too far. If that's happening, ramp the effort back up just a little bit. Okay? So just to review, we're working the feet first, foundation first. They're gripping the floor, the toes are spread out. The toes are not gripping, the pads of the feet are gripping. Four corners of the feet are gripping, okay? How's your pelvis? Is it tipping forward? Is it tipping back? Is it somewhere in between? Maybe, I don't really know, but if that's where you're at, if you're in that, I'm not really sure where it's at, place, take your best guess and just like, okay, that's good. This is what I know as center. Collarbones moving apart, sternum lifting up, head, crown of the head lifting up, Fingers fanning out, palms facing forward. Now, let's start, if we haven't already, Ujjayi breathing. Just through the nose, in and out through the nose. Okay? And then start to ramp up the activation. Let's ramp it up. We ramped it back. We took it back 30%, right? So we made it all easier. Now we're going to increase the work here 10%. What does that look like for you? Okay, keep the Ujjayi through the nose. Long inhale, long exhale. Lifting tall, opening. Good, bandhas engaged. See if you can draw in the sides of your waist, the sides of the back, as well as the bandhas. Good, start to stretch the Ujjayi. Make it longer and smoother than it previously has been. Yes, keep the activation, ramp it up another 10%, and as you do, see if the Ujjayi can start to push out against some of this inward work. And so your breath begins to stretch and activate. Your breath begins to kind of open up this whole other layer of observation, of awareness. Make sure we're not clenching the jaw here. You can keep your jaw soft if you can. Or maybe you can't. Maybe it just automatically squeezes down when you do all these other activations. But pay attention to it. Notice it. How is it reacting or acting? Good. Now this pose, you could work this pose every day, and I hope you do. But this is the foundation of so many other poses that we do in yoga. Okay, deepen your breath. Activate another 10%. Notice if you're pushing your feet out or pulling your feet into center. And if you are, not yet, hold on there. We're getting there. But sometimes when we're squeezing the floor and when we're activating and we're really working hard, that'll be a natural thing that occurs beneath our radar. We don't even realize we're doing it until we realize we're doing it. And we're like, oh, didn't mean to do that. But what about now? Let's try it. So without changing your posture or your breath pattern, I want you to squeeze your feet in towards center. It's like you're pulling the feet in. You're not actually moving anything. This is an energetic engagement, an activation. You'll probably feel your glutes fire up a little more, and this is a good thing. Yes. Also, take a moment, look down. What are the toes doing? Are they gripping like crazy? Are they bunched up? Spread those toes out. Soften those toes. Are they rolling in? So a lot of times our big toes will roll in here. Don't let them roll in. 4 corners of the feet. So that's one spot just beneath the big toe, one spot beneath the pinky toe. 2 spots in the heel, very similar to that. Okay? And then balance the weight out onto those 4 points. All right, now push outer edges of the mat. Ooh, go slow. Start with like 10% press. Keep everything else working. Everything else like you've been training it. Keep pushing out another 10%. Again, go slow, go cautious here. Sometimes the bones in the hips will adjust or be like, whoa, buddy, not today. Listen to your body. Okay, another 10%. So now we should be around 30%, 40%. But if you've never done this work before, it may feel like 90% right now. And if it does, just ease out a little bit. Make the action smaller. Work from a place of strength first. Okay? Next breath in, keep all that working, that pressing out even. Take the arms overhead, interlace the fingers, and now stretch the arms to the sky. Push up. Keep grounding into the legs. Keep reaching for the sky. Move apart without going into a back bend. Okay, we're working bandha still. Pelvic floor is lifting, or is it? Low belly is drawing in and up, or is it? Breath is free to operate while those things are going on, or is it? Now bring the feet just back to four corners and center, so the effort is now pressing straight down. And notice how different that feels from the other two actions. Okay, see if you can grow a little taller. And a little taller. Okay, check your breath. Make sure you're not holding the breath, but in a relaxed manner, activate a little bit more. Yes, all right, one more breath in, reach high. Back a bit now if you want, and then fold forward slowly. If you're really stiff and tight, bend the knees, release the arms. Dangle head, dangle neck. Legs are bent here if you're stiff, remember that. Or if you got your two blocks, bring them in. And then just loosen up the neck. Yes. Start to engage the legs by pushing them straight and rebending them. Pushing them straight and rebending them. Good. Find the feet again. Four corners activating. Inner arches lifting. Good. Find your bandhas, pelvic floor. Yeah. And then Uddiyana, just below the navel, in first, up second. Find the breathing. Okay. Next time the legs go straight, just hold them straight. This is where bendies can really enjoy bringing their hands all the way down, or even wrapping them behind the legs. Now don't do that unless it's necessary to do that. Loosen the neck. I want you to explore your edges, but I don't want you to like blast off into uncharted territory. Okay, if your neck feels really like it needs a small traction, interlace your fingers, and then without pulling down, let the weight of your arms kind of, you interlace your fingers behind your neck, and then you just let the weight of the arms lightly draw down. That'll try to really balance that surrender to the active pulling that may want to occur there. Two more breaths. One last one. Okay, release the arms. And halfway up, lengthen the spine. Fold back in. Halfway up, lengthen the spine. Fold back in. Should we do one more? Yes. Halfway up. Fold back in. Plant your hands just in front of your toes, so if you need to, bend your knees a lot, and if that doesn't work, grab your blocks again. But we're going to step back into a plank. Okay? I want you to try to work Tadasana in plank here. So what did you work? When you were in Tadasana, what did you work first? Your foundation, right? So that was the feet. Here we can add the hands in too, because it's part of our foundation now. But the feet, so balance out the work in your feet. Maybe spread your toes. Good, let the toes get a nice stretch there. Maybe even start to kind of push the heels back a little bit. Yep. Now in this one, taking your thigh bones and just lifting them up, that's going to naturally create some pressure. But if you find you're just locking the knees, I want you to add that. Reach forward with your shin bones. Oh, and that right away will fire up your core in a much different and active manner than just standing in plank. So to the casual observer, nothing changed, right? Like, you were doing plank, you were rocking it, it was great, pictures were being taken, and then you added those tiny little movements of pressing your shins towards the floor and lifting your thigh bones towards the sky, and all of a sudden plank got scary. Like, there's no way I can hold plank and do that. I'd have to give up one or the other, right? Maybe. I'd suggest you put your knees down. Check your breathing. And if your breathing is like way off, that's your sign. That's your sign to put your knees down. And it doesn't matter how long you hold it. We're not in a hurry to get to any pose, any place, any length of time. Or maybe we are. Maybe we are in a hurry, and that's why we're so frustrated all the time. It's a fight against our nature. All right, stretch it back. Let your hips sink towards your heels. If you're really tight, maybe widen your knees. And if you're really, really tight, put a blanket under your shins or behind your knees, or both. Okay, if you can keep your arms outstretched, keep your arms outstretched. I want you to push down into the palms and then lightly drag them back, but don't let them move. Like you're trying to bunch up your mat, but you're not going to quite go that far. Good. You can move the hips a little side to side. I want you to keep the forearms lifted. So if your forearms are on the mat, it could be a few different reasons, but just check in to see if it just feel like too much to work your forearms up today, and if that is true, then just leave them down. And that's with all of this, you know. You can come back to this over and over and continue to progress and grow from it. Okay, you're going to inhale up to all fours and then exhale back into that active child's pose with the arms. And notice we're not moving the hands around. When we come up to all fours, we're not shifting our hands. And when we go back to the extended child's pose, we shouldn't be moving the hands. Just kind of commit to one space, even though it may not be perfect. Make it the best possible for this moment. And just work with it. You know, of course, avoid anything that doesn't feel right, anything that hurts. You ready to add on a little? Okay, let's make it a real plank. So instead of coming back to child's pose, we'll go back to down dog. Forward, back, good, forward, back, one more, forward, back. And then why don't we all meet in down dog? Wiggle it out, wag your tail, bicycle the knees, enjoy it. And then find your plank position. Find Tadasana, so that's push your heels back a little bit, try to suck the energy, the effort up the inner arch, and that comes all the way up the top of the head. So that work is being pulled all through the body. Okay, push your heels back a little bit. Press your shin bones down. Press your thigh bones up. Yeah. Pelvic floor lifted. Low belly slightly drawn in. Now start to broaden your collarbones. Good. Start to lengthen the neck. Pull the top of the head forward. Now do we feel the Tadasana in our plank pose? Good. Same but different, right? Here we go. Keep working that activation in the legs. Shins forward, thighs back, pelvic floor. There creates a slight spinning of the inner thighs out. How's the breathing? 2 more breaths. Good. Now slow lower. We're going to lower on the count of 5. Start to bend the elbows. Lean forward. 4. Start to shift the weight. Keep the legs working. Inner thighs spinning. Shins forward, thighs up, pelvic floor. 3, 2, 1. All right. Lift the chest. Deep breath. Cobra pose. Fold back in. Okay, cobra or up dog. And one last one. Good, tuck your toes. Find your down dog. Big breath, big sigh. Inhale, set it up. Exhale, step or jump. Front of the mat. Halfway up, lengthen the spine. Fold back into your toes. Lengthen the spine. Fold to the toes. Lengthen your spine. Fold to your toes. Lift to stand, rise up. You're pressing into the legs. Palms touch overhead, draw into the heart. Connected. Healthy. Happy. Free. All right, inhale, arms lift high. Exhale, hinge and fold. Halfway up, lengthen. Step or jump back. Up dog. Inhale. Down dog. Exhale. Are you in a hurry? Why? Inhale, bend the knees, gaze forward. Exhale, step or jump. Lengthen. Fold. Inhale, rise. Exhale. Healthy, happy, and free. Inhale. Hinge and fold. Halfway. Chaturanga. Up dog. Down dog. Right leg's gonna lift. Sweep it up. Light step between the hands. Okay, come all the way up. Crescent pose. 1 breath only. Right back to the mat. Left leg. When you're ready, inhale, rise. Exhale, lower. Good. Move right back into the right side. Right leg lifts. Right leg lunges. You know, if it doesn't make sense for you to lift it, you can always skip that part. Right now, we're just connecting breath and intention, awareness and movement. If you get lost, a good general rule of thumb is inhales will do some sort of lifting pattern. Exhale, some sort of lowering. How good can you make it feel? And that doesn't mean easy. You know, sometimes we have to squeeze, we have to activate, we have to work. 2 more. To really get that good feeling. Shake out the neck. Walk out the dog. Enjoy it. Now, if you know how to work down dog, work down dog. Activate, squeeze, be there on purpose. Or maybe you know how to work down dog, it's just like, nope, gotta rest. And that's okay. But know your why. Know why you're doing it. Be able to answer that question. If you need to, child's pose is always available. But we're going to try to find some Tadasana in our Vashistasana. Alright? So if you need to, you can stagger your feet here. You can put a knee down, that's an option for sure. But I think at this stage, if you're doing this class, the foot in front will serve you better because it's going to make you work more. It's going to give you more support, but also make you work more. So this is a really nice option. And you can still try to find that energetic draw from the center of the feet all the way up the crown of the head with this support out in front. That's fine. Okay, the one action that we did not do in Tadasana here would be this downward press with our arm and with our supporting leg. Okay, check your breathing. Notice if you can smooth out the breathing. Check your bandhas. Are they lost and gone? Or are they slightly activated? Good. Check out the work of your inner thigh, especially on the straight leg. Top of the head. Lengthen the neck. Smooth out the breath. Okay, one more breath in. Keep the leg and the arm working. Good. And switch sides. So if you'd like to take a down dog or a child's pose first, you certainly can. And if you're ready, make the transition. Yeah. Find the support. Even if you're not used to doing it this way, you know, sometimes when we come back and we review poses that we think we're beyond. And I just got to tell you, if you think you're beyond a pose, now's your chance to realize the folly of that thinking. Because if your thinking is beyond a pose, it's a real tell into what you think the purpose of yoga is or why you're doing it. I mean, I know there's reasons we tell ourselves, but it should kind of come as a red flag to your subconscious. You know, it's not quite true. Push down into the arm that's on the earth, press down into the foot that's on the earth. That's going to help you find some lift, right? We don't want to be sagging here. If we're sagging, we're not quite ready to hold it this long. So find that activeness. The straight leg, the inner arch lifting, shin pushing forward, thigh bone pressing back, squeezing that arm down, pulling it back to center. Neck long, collarbones broad, whether the hand is reaching out front or behind the back or straight up, wherever it is, collarbones broad. How's the bandhas? How's the bandhas doing? Good. And the whole waist. See if you can get the top portion of the body to work as much as the bottom. Yes. One more breath. Bring it back to dog. Or child's pose. Walk it out. Wiggle it out. Shift it out. Put the knees down. Sit on the heels. Walk your hands back. Squeeze the collarbones apart and the shoulder blades together. And I want you to imagine your shoulder blades lifting your chest. Think about making your shoulder blades lift your chest. Good. Can you somewhat relax the neck here? So if you bring your chin in slightly, yep, like we did in Tadasana, you're going to find a little bit more ability to open the chest, to create a bigger arc here. Good. Can you find your bandhas? Mula bandha, Uddiyana bandha. How does that change the pose for you? Do you feel stronger when the bandhas are engaged? Do you feel overwhelmed and overworked? What comes up? Good. Last breath in. And then bring it back to center. Good. Find your downward facing dog. Good. In down dog, take a deep breath and a big sigh. And enjoy life again. Healthy, happy, and free. Inhale, prepare, bend your knees, gaze forward. Exhale, step or jump. Halfway, lengthen the spine. Fold back into the toes. Rise up. Root down to rise up. Hands to heart. Good. Inhale, arms lift. Pigeon fold. Halfway up, lengthen. Step or jump back. Up dog or cobra. Downward facing dog. And pause. Yes. Okay, shift forward, plank position, find Tadasana. Let's go side plank this time. Feet staggered or stacked. And so, if they're stacked, it's a little bit more work, but I think it's valuable to really work lengthening the inner edges of the feet. The big toe side of the foot, especially on that top one, has to kind of shorten or lengthen out towards the back of the mat, and the pinky toe side has to kind of pull in. If you're not doing that, your foot's just going to be pressing off and doing whatever it wants. So ask it to do something specifically. And if you find like, nope, I can't work here, I can only survive here, then come back to staggered feet. And if it's no there, come back here. And if it, at this point in the work, if it's still no, then come back here. Okay? Most important thing is you're breathing, you're connecting, you're feeling, you're paying attention. And maybe that's the biggest gift a yoga practice can bring to your life, is by increasing the amount you can pay attention. Okay, take it back to down dog. Shift forward, plank position, Vashistasana. Find your version. Don't find the version on the last side, find the version on this side. So even if you had to modify on the last side, maybe this side comes in refreshed and strong and ready to rock it. Find your Tadasana. Work all those little engagements. Bandhas, broad chest. Oh, it's hard for me here. Long neck is hard for me here. So that'll help keep your chin just in line with your sternum instead of cranking up or looking down. Those things are fine, but for Tadasana today, do it this way. Good. Remember our variations, staggered feet. Yeah, it's okay to get back there. And then foot deep stepped and supportive. And I just love that stretch of my hip It's supportive for Vashistasana, but it's doing a whole bunch of other stuff too. Love it. And then remember the third variation, fourth variation. And one more breath. Come back to down dog. Good. Hey, bend your knees, gaze forward, step or jump when you're ready. Lengthen the spine halfway up. Fold back into your toes. Rise up. Hands to heart. Inhale, arms lift. Pigeon fold. Good. Halfway up, lengthen. Step or jump back. Back bend. Downward dog. Take 3 breaths. Lift your hips high. Press your thigh bones back. Press your shins forward. Can you find Tadasana in your legs in down dog? What a concept, huh? Can you broaden your collarbones a little bit? Can you lengthen your neck? Can you find Tadasana in the upper half of the body in down dog? Good. One more inhale. Really activate up maybe another 10 or 20%. And then we're going to jump through to sitting. We're going to collapse and just have a seat. And when you get to sitting, extend both legs out, lift your hips up, and angle your sit bones back slightly. So if you remember in Tadasana, one of the activations we did was to kind of balance out the pelvis, either by lifting the front of the pelvis up or tipping the front of the pelvis down, depending on our need. This effort of angling our sit bones back is kind of doing that same work here. It will also take a lot of the pressure out of our low back. Okay, so here, how are we going to work Tadasana? Well, the first thing we'll start doing is balancing out the feet. So if you have a block, you can take your block and just set it up there, and it gives you a really good idea of what are your feet doing. A lot of our feet are doing some weird like breakdance stuff. And that's great and all, but is that because you want them to do that or asking them to that, or they have a mind of their own? And so here's our chance to do deep advanced practice. We pay attention to these subtleties. These subtleties that most people just pass by, that most people just brush off as insignificant. There's a quote, I can't remember, I think it goes, how you do something is how you do everything. And this is people talk about taking their yoga off the mat and into the world and blah, blah, blah. And that can mean a lot of different things, but I'll tell you one of the, real concrete things that happens when you do a sustained yoga practice, see if you can go a little deeper without rounding the back, is that you work for, whatever it is, 20 minutes or 90 minutes or 180 minutes, I don't know, whatever it is. And you're practicing being aware, you're practicing paying attention, you're practicing listening to your heart and your mind and your body and your breath all connect. If you want to use your hands for help here, you can start to crawl them forward. Bendy people, they don't understand this one. I'm bendier than some, stiffer than others, but so I don't really consider myself, I don't think of myself as a bendy person. This is hard for me. But back to what I was saying is, we practice these little tiny actions of being in the moment, of paying attention, of adjusting ourselves
into a better version of what we want, or maybe just training the ability to shift, to change, to use our body. And then those actions, those practices, those just kind of seep into every other area of our lives. And about 3 or 4 more breaths here. So we start noticing that when we're talking with people, or when we're preparing food, or when we're putting on our shoes. And we can add this layer of mindfulness, and you don't even have to add it. If you're practicing yoga, it's being added. Soles of the feet together, Baddha Koṇāsana. Chest lifts. Here, and moving back, you can, if you felt like your hips had to have a big reset, lift up, set down, angle the sit bones back, and then start to pull heart forward. So how do we work Tadasana here? Well, 4 corners of the feet pressing together, right? Inner arches lifting. Shin bones forward, thigh bones back. Doesn't really work, but the inner spin of the inner thigh spin here works really, really well. And so you can work on pushing the legs, pushing your legs out. Okay, not using your arms, using your leg strength. How strong are your legs? Can they activate in this way? And remember, you want to ramp up the intensity. So start with a small amount before you go big sauce. Okay? Now, as you're bringing the soles of the feet together, and you can use your hands to help here. But if to really challenge yourself, don't use the hands, Know your whys. Why are you using the hands? Because it's easier. Why are you always trying to make everything easy? Honor the struggle. Do hard things. I mean, you're doing yoga. That's a hard thing. You're way ahead of the curve of most people. Okay, chest, center of the chest, the sternum, remember, lift it. Crown of the head, lift it. 2 more breaths. Try to add another 5, 10, 20% intensity. Great. Relax the legs. Keep your left shin forward. I want you to walk your right leg back. Top of the foot can be tucked here or flat. You choose whatever you want to do today. If it feels like a lot, take your blocks and prop up here. We're going to work this one. Bendy people, you love to avoid this one. I like to pick on you because I think of you as so advanced. I mean, further from where I'm at as far as my flexibility. So forgive me for picking on you. But also, pay attention to what I'm saying and ask yourself, does any of it apply to me? If it applies to you, use it. If it doesn't, just let it go. So even if you can lay flat for today, I'd like you not to. If it feels really tight, something you can do is bring your heel in more to midline instead of parallel with the front of the mat. And maybe it's somewhere in between, that's fine too. To make it harder, bring your shin bone forward more. Now, to also make it harder, I want you to start to squeeze the floor. So with the back foot, you're squeezing down. With the front foot, you're pressing down. That's going to create lift through your pelvis. That's good. We want that lift through the pelvis. Now find your bandha, mula bandha, uddiyana bandha in the pelvis. Okay? Now notice how much squeezing are you doing with the legs? Is it over 50%? Is it under 50%? Try to find a halfway point that you still feel like is a true halfway. Most of us probably squeezing way too much right now. So soften if you need to. Okay? Check the breathing, activate the breathing really strong. Turn your blocks a stage higher. If you don't need blocks, hands to the heart or overhead. But my hands were doing all the work before. Yeah, that's kind of the point. If we are working the poses Squeezing the legs, squeezing the floor. It's like you're trying to bunch up the mat here. Breathe, bandhas. Mula Bandha. Maybe you can just do fingertips on the block. You're trying to grow taller. Okay, hands can come behind the back, hands can stay overhead, hands can stay at the heart. Oh, I just want to use my hands. Use your hands then. Take a deep breath in. Release down. And now you can relax. You can take the luxurious version. No work. Passive. We kind of work it both ways. We work it actively, we work it passively. Both have their moments when they're really helpful and good. And that comes back to just knowing our why. Okay, now coming up on the mobility challenge. To come out of this one, you're going to kind of sit back against that front leg. And then, if we can, without using the hands, but if you got to use your hands, that's fine. Bring the arms up. Sweep the back leg forward. Kind of lay it across the front of the mat and sweep the forward leg back. Again, if we can, without using the hands, but of course, use the hands. Don't make it such a big deal. Just pay attention to what you're doing. Okay. Adjust the front leg. Does it need to be more forward for more challenge? Does it need to be more to center just to survive? You know, bring your blocks in. You may found like, oh, on the other side, I was so strong, I was so stretchy. And this side is unique. We'll call it unique. I know I am. Feels very different. Arms can lift up. Arms can stay at the heart. Arms can come behind the back. You can squeeze the shoulder blades, broaden the shoulder blades. But work Tadasana, you know. Find your bandhas. Pelvic floor lift. Uddiyana bandha. And when we're finding our bandhas, it's a light engagement. It's a light squeeze. My bandhas don't work as a set it and forget it. I'm hoping one day to arrive there, but still, I have to keep constantly asking them to stay fired up. I sometimes wonder though, like what happens when I get there? Like, maybe I start glowing or something. A couple more breaths. Okay, if you want to ramp up the intensity, push that front leg in harder. Press the back leg in harder. Squeeze the legs to center. Find more lift. Really activate without holding your breath. Oh yeah. Gotta breathe too. And then relax. Alright, so if you're doing a level 1-2 class, it's my assumption that you have some beginner awareness, and if you don't have any beginner awareness, I highly suggest you humble yourself and take some classes with a reputable teacher, get some one-on-one help, answer some questions. Online is great. Online is a huge gift to the world, but it really does not substitute for having a trained eye and working with somebody skilled in their craft on a one-on-one setting. You're relaxing here. If you want to support yourself with the blocks, I know I do. Feels good. Feels good to be supported. And for me, I've got a lot of tightness in my hips and my back. I've got a lot of tightness everywhere, but one thing I like about this support here is it allows me to really relax and soften my upper body, neck, shoulders, spine, while still feeling like I'm not having to protect in my hip. So it allows me to access deeper layers of letting go, deeper layers of relaxation. And that's where props can become so valuable, is they help us go much further. And they help us decipher and pay attention to the signals we receive a little bit better. It's like looking at things through a different lens, you know. Sometimes you get the right lens and everything just like makes sense. Okay. We'll do 2 more breaths here. All right, I know Tadasana is not really glamorous and exciting. You can start to make your way up. Try to do the mobility way, so you're going to, as much as you can, not use your hands. Bring both feet back, and then you can just go ahead and roll onto your back. And you can hug the knees in, or just tick-tock the knees side to side, whatever makes sense for you. But then I want you to extend your legs, extend your arms, draw, kind of wrap your shoulder blades under, and then find Tadasana. So start at the feet, 4 corners of the feet, inner arches lift. Shin bones are lifting up, thigh bones are pressing down, front of the pelvis draws up, sit bones lengthen, pelvic floor lifts, low belly draws in and up. Now here, I don't know the way I talked about it yet, but our front ribs can draw down and in towards that Uddiyana Bandha. Broaden your collarbones. Lengthen your neck without, you're not flattening the neck to the floor. You're not trying to bring chin to chest. You're trying to take crown of the head back. Maintain just the natural curvatures. Now breathe deep and strong. Try to keep this a good 60 to 70% active. So this is very active. I haven't asked you to work quite that much yet today. Excuse my English. It is my first, second language. Okay. Now, find another 5 to 10% activation. Squeezing, broadening, lengthening, pressing, activating. Take a deep breath in. Hold the breath at the top. Activate just a little bit more, 2% more. Suck in a little more air. And then let it all go. Okay, wiggle, shimmy, shift, shake a moment. Get comfortable. Slightly open the mouth. Let all the work go. Let your toes get lighter. I like to fan mine, just stretch them apart and then release them. See if I can soften any of the muscles in my feet. And then see if I can let my feet grow any heavier as they just kind of fall out away from my body. And I scan my calves and my shins and my knees. There's a point right behind the knee. See if you can soften that point right behind the knee. It's a powerful point in the body. Okay, inner thighs. Can you relax your inner thighs? How about the tops of them? Those big muscles. And especially where they reside above the knee and around the knee, and just where they kind of plug in the pelvis. So the 2 points of attachment to the body? Can you soften those points? So what we're trying to relax is all non-necessary work or activation in the body. Right? So we need some activation still going on. I mean, our heart needs to pump. We still need to breathe. We still need to be able to hold our bowels. So there's some necessary effort going on, but all non-necessary effort, can we let that go? Okay, find your pelvic floor. I want you to relax the muscular activation, but I want you to increase the energetic activation. Can you feel energy flow without muscularly activating? So just practice that. And it's okay that you can't. Just attempt. Put forth an effort. Can you feel it glow? Can you feel it warm? Can you feel it vibrate? These are all energetic signs that something's happening when you're doing it. Okay, bring it up now. So just below the navel, that space. Right across the frontal hip points. First, soften the belly, your side waist muscles. Any non-necessary life support type system, let it go. And then energetically make it glow, make it warm, make it vibrate. Just think of bringing energy to that space. Here we're not controlling the breath is natural, so it'll probably almost come to a space where it seems like you may not be breathing. And that's okay, if it's okay. Come above the navel now. Remember that space where the ribs come together and start to form that breastplate. See if you can soften that space just around the bottoms of your ribs. Around your internal organs here. Okay, and then energetically, it's kind of right in front of our spine. Activate that space around the spine. Energetic, not muscularly. So you're not moving the belly, you're not squeezing, you're not trying to force anything. I just had some beautiful energetic releases there. And so those show up in forms of like heat, cold, vibration, even like the sound of gurgling in your intestines, organs. This shift occurring inside you. Okay, now bring it to the heart. The metaphorical heart, so it's in the center. But it's right up there. So can you relax your pectorals at all, physical body, your obliques, your intercostals, your shoulders. And then energetically, connect to the heart. Bring warmth, bring relaxation, bring healing, bring ease. And then the throat. Maybe you swallow. Maybe even open the jaw. Is there any other physical muscles you can relax around the throat? And then slowly, energetically, release the throat. Throat's relaxed. Come up to the space right between your eyebrows and a little bit up, a little bit above that. Your forehead area. Can you spread out the skin there? Can you soften it? Can you relax it? There's muscles in your face, just like there's muscles in the rest of your body. And you can learn to activate them and relax them. The point your head is resting on the floor, relax that too. The back of the scalp, back of the skull. And then see if you can bring energetic relaxation, engagement, opening into that space. If you want to slightly let your eyes drift up towards that space, I find that useful sometimes. And you may be able to feel, this is another powerful point in the body. And so a lot of people will feel something when they work this point, whether that's a warmth, a connection, a glowing feel, vibrational feel, even the twitching, pulsing. And then out the very top of the head, so where you would do headstand, crown of the head. So first try to physically relax your scalp. You may have to move the jaw and the face a little bit to explore that, that's okay. Keep the jaw relaxed, face soft, top of this head melting. And then energetically. Now, is there any one place that you could let go a little bit more? With just a quick scan. And then just disappear. Float. Absorb. Heal. time to rest longer, I highly recommend you rest longer. A nice thing to do right after this class would be maybe a small meditation, because we've done a great job of bringing the focus inward, of navigating some of those mind fluctuations coming into the movement. Do what your heart desires. Be healthy. Be happy. And be free.